The Taproot Teacher Training is an annual retreat for homeschooling parents, a live in-person gathering that brings together heart-centered homeschoolers from all over the world for hands-on learning, community, connection, and fun. And I'd love to see you at Taproot 2024. We'll gather August 1st through 4th at a camp in northeastern Ohio for a long weekend of engaging workshops, hiking and yoga, and personal reflection. Taproot gives everyone a chance to experience and practice singing, painting, and building main lessons in order to foster a deeper understanding of the hands-on Waldorf-Inspired approach. A team of experienced homeschoolers offer guidance rooted in each of their family's life to help bring you more joy to yours. This is our 18th year of offering this amazing experience. You can learn more at artofhomeschooling.com/taproot2024. You're listening to the Art of Homeschooling podcast, where we help parents cultivate creativity and connection at home. I'm your host, Jean Miller, and here on this podcast, you'll find stories and inspiration to bring you the confidence you need to make homeschooling work for your family. Let's begin. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, shut the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight. 9, 10, a big fat hen. Oh, such a simple rhyme spoken by generations of children and parents in backyards, on sidewalks and kitchens, on the knees of grandmas and grandpas over and over again. But this oh-so-simple rhyme represents one of the most essential elements of a Waldorf-inspired kindergarten, and that is language development, particularly oral language development, because that's where it all begins. Welcome to the Art of Homeschooling podcast. I'm Jean, veteran homeschool mom of 25 years, and you're in for a treat today because I'm sharing the first in a series of episodes where we're diving deep into each grade, starting with kindergarten in this episode and going up through 8th grade. So over the next few months here on the Art of Homeschooling podcast, we'll be building a wonderful library for you to refer back to over and over again whenever you need inspiration and guidance about Waldorf homeschooling in the grades. I'm really excited to embark on this series, and I want to know what grade or grades you're teaching or will be teaching in the year to come. You can head over to the show notes for this episode at artofhomeschooling.com/episode 182 and leave a comment, or find me on social media to share where you are on your homeschooling journey. So before we dive into my kindergarten basket, let's quickly review a few essential elements of Waldorf-inspired homeschooling. In my work with hundreds of parents and my own 25 years of homeschooling, I've found that there are 3 things that form the foundation of Waldorf-inspired homeschooling, and those are child development, rhythm, and the lively arts. If you're new here or new to the podcast, definitely go check out episode 179, Homeschooling with Waldorf, Getting Started. It's all about these 3 essential elements. You can find it at artofhomeschooling.com/episode 179, and I'll be sure to link that and all the resources that I mentioned here. I'll be sure to link them in the show notes for this episode. Today, we're diving into the developmental aspect of Waldorf. And even if you've adopted other homeschool methods like Charlotte Mason or the classical approach, these ideas about child development can still help guide and inspire you. These ideas are really universal. So the founder of Waldorf education, Rudolf Steiner, he defined 3 phases of child development, which mirror the stages of development described by a lot of other educators like Maria Montessori and psychologists such as Jean Piaget. These 3 stages, as Steiner identified them, are 0 to 7. These are the ages, 0 to 7, 7 to 14, and 14 to 21 and up. You'll often hear these discussed as hands, heart, and head in Waldorf circles. And if you're not very well versed in these 3 stages, check out episode 126. Add that to your podcast queue as well. It's all about thinking, feeling, willing, or head, heart, and hands, and covers these 3 stages of child development and the 3 ways that children learn best in each stage. This developmental approach can really help us view the growing child through the lens of the child's developing consciousness. We can bring our children, each child, what he or she needs to learn and grow at each stage in a more intentional way when we understand these stages of development. So today, let's chat about kindergarten or children ages 3 to 6 in a homeschool setting. A Waldorf kindergarten has mixed ages, so it encompasses these years, the ages of 3 to 6-year-olds. A little story here, when my oldest 2 kiddos were this age. So if you are new to me, I have 3 children. They're grown now, but 2 boys close in age, and then a daughter who's almost 8 or 9 years younger. So when my oldest 2 were around age 3 and 4, I went to look at preschools. It was the month of February, and I was going stir crazy at home with these 2 little ones. So I went to observe at a preschool near our house. I'd read an article that suggested I find a child similar to mine or children similar to mine and observe how the teacher interacts with that child. So that's exactly what I did. I thought that was very good advice. And what I discovered was that the child that was most like mine was a bit out of sync from the rest of the children. And the teacher was super annoyed with him. That's when it hit me. Kindergarten age children need lots of time and space for free play and can do quite well in a home environment where they can imitate the daily activities of the adults around them. Well, I can do that, I remember thinking. My husband Brian and I decided to keep our kiddos home during these years so that we could create an environment that was developmentally appropriate for their age, full of lots of stories, music, cooking and cleaning, and time outdoors. This was the beginning of our homeschooling journey, even though I didn't totally know that at the time. Now, I want to share some characteristics of the kindergarten child. Do you have a toddler, preschooler, or kindergartner? Up until the age of about 6 or 7, children learn best through imitation and action. With the Waldorf approach, formal lessons aren't started until 1st grade, generally the year in which a child turns 7. The idea is that young children need their life forces, their energy, in early childhood for the development of their organs, including their brain. But that's not to say that learning isn't happening at this stage. Our kindergarten children are watching us. They're exploring the world and learning through play with imaginative imitation. This is a time for singing songs, telling stories, marking the rhythm of the day with poems, singing, playfully engaging in everyday tasks around the home. No formal lessons yet, but we can share lots of age-appropriate fairy tales and stories. We can bring activities that help develop spatial awareness, pre-literacy, and pre-math skills. We can set up the home environment in such a way as to encourage children to play act, to act out what they picture happening from the stories that they hear and what they observe happening in the world around them. This can include simple props for pretend play, open-ended dress up with clothes and little animal scenes, squares of colorful fabric or play silks, and plenty of space to play and move as much as possible. Kindergarten can be play-based and nature-based, with everyday homemaking tasks serving as the foundation of our days with our children. Children of kindergarten age might be described as saying, "Let me do what you do." The first 7 years of childhood really represent this first 7-year cycle of growth, while learning is predominantly through imitation and action. And as I mentioned, children need that life force energy at this stage of childhood for the development of their organs. That's why we don't start formal lessons until around first grade or after the baby teeth start to fall out and adult teeth come in. But keep this in mind, our children are watching us. They're exploring the world. They're learning through play. And because our children are observing and imitating all that's going on around them, our main goal at this stage is to be sure that the work we do in front of our children is worthy of our child's imitation. Throughout these years at our house, we had a little farm with animals set up in the living room. We had a dollhouse with little people in it, a play kitchen with lots and lots of cooking props, cloths and blankets for building forts, and a yard full of stumps to climb around on, and a garden. The natural flow of our days included stories and songs, time for indoor play, outdoor play, cooking and cleaning, plus rest time. We had a play group once a week, and my kids had neighborhood friends to play with in the afternoons. And learning was happening naturally with all these simple activities. I have a few suggested resources for you. These are my favorite resources for this age group, this stage, if you want to explore what this might look like at your house. My very favorite book for this age is You Are Your Child's First Teacher, Encouraging Your Child's Natural Development from Birth to Age 6 by Rahima Baldwin. The updated 3rd edition of this great book shows parents and educators how to enrich the lives of children in this age, from birth to age 6. It has ideas for early childhood education, parenting, and using home life as the curriculum. A similar book is called Beyond the Rainbow Bridge, Nurturing Our Children from Birth to 7 by Barbara Patterson and Pamela Bradley. My favorite book for activities at this age is A Child's Seasonal Treasury by Betty Jones. This book is full of wonderful verses, songs, games, crafts, finger plays, and stories for young children organized by the seasons. This treasure was a go-to resource for me in our homeschool for years. And if you want to go more in depth into these years, I have a wonderful masterclass inside the Inspired at Home community called Kindergarten at Home that has 4 video lessons linked to resources for further reading, some wonderful bonuses to help you visualize and set up a space and learning activities for your children. It includes a tour of a kindergarten space at home. You can find out more at artofhomeschooling.com/inspired at home. And I'll be sure to put a link in the show notes along with links to all the other resources for kindergarten in a basket. If this overview of Waldorf-Inspired Kindergarten has been helpful or inspiring to you, you'll also want to add my Ages and Stages guide to your homeschool resource library if you don't already have a copy of it. It's a free guide available over on my website that gives you an overview of each age and stage up to 8th grade. You'll find concise descriptions of each grade and a list of themes or main lesson topics, examples of artwork, main lesson book pages, handwork, and resources. I'll include the link in the show notes for this episode, which you can find at artofhomeschooling.com/episode 182. Thanks so much for joining me today for Kindergarten in a Basket. I hope that this has been helpful to you, and if it has, I would love for you to share it with your homeschooling friends. And keep an eye out for other episodes in this series coming soon here on the Art of Homeschooling podcast. That's all for today, my friend. But here's what I want you to remember. Rather than perfection, let's focus on connection. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Art of Homeschooling podcast.